You shouldn't even be with a person
So.
that you wouldn't be able to trust to change your baby's diaper. What sense does that make to be with somebody like that?
No, you shouldn't.
Okay.
But
There should be no but. If you cannot leave your child with this person and you cannot trust them to change that baby's diaper, then you should not be in that relationship. You should not be pass and go.
You shouldn't. But I don't think this is such a cut and dry answer. Like,
I do.
Like, yeah, I'm a male and changing a little girl that's not my child. That is. Anyway, I answered it. This question sounds weird because if
I mean, why does it sound weird? That to me, that's somebody overthinking it. If you okay, and I'm gonna get into the adoption. What is the difference between if me and you cannot? No. Listen, they need to hear what I'm saying. Okay. Listen. They don't know the scenario. I'm saying, okay, if I'm bringing a child in, this is your stepdaughter. What about a situation where we adopt a child together because we cannot have children or we just want to adopt a child together, okay? And this is a female child. You gonna say the same thing? You gonna say we gonna adopt a child together, but all of that is just left on me? I can never leave the child with you? That doesn't even make sense.
Oh, it doesn't make sense.
Okay, so why even say adopt a child or why even say you're going to be a step parent or you're stepping into the role of that, but then you're limiting what you can do in that sense. No. Yes, you are. You picking and choosing what you could do because that does not make sense. If you say, yeah, baby, go out and have a me day. Now I come home, my child has feces and everything else on her because you talking about you couldn't change her diaper because you a man. Does that sound right?
No.
Does that make sense to you?
No.
Who gonna be pleased with that?
Well, I think it is the point of with some guys don't want to come out and look like a PDF or
you
a PD.
look a PD, whatever. You look like a PD when you start bringing up situations like that ain't nobody even thinking about. Nobody is thinking about that.
Why ain't nobody thinking about? But some people don't want to. I don't want.
Okay, so I don't know how y'all partnership is gonna work out. I really don't. If the daughter have to always stay with the mama in every situation, or the mama got to find somebody to always watch the child.
No.
Yes, that's essentially what you're saying.
Right.
I cannot leave my child with you for more than 2 hours. I might leave out and the child might, have a mistake on themselves or whatever. Now they got to sit there for 2 to 3 hours with that on them until I get back.
No, they shouldn't. But then also, what about
you over here double-minded?
No,
I don't
I'm
know
not
what you
double-minded. Darn it!
Don't yell at me, because I've been hands off for a while, and I'm not trying to go hands.
But what about the other parent? Is that okay?
What do you mean about the other parent? If you're basing something off of the other parent,
basing off the other parent. I think it's polite to ask the other parent.
You can definitely
like, hey, is that okay?
Okay, you can ask, and if they say no, you're basing it off of what they gonna do. If you want the other parent, then again, you're picking and choosing what you want. Are you gonna ask the other parent everything that you do with the child?
No, I think it's polite. So some people think manners. Like, is that okay from another man to be?
Then you should apply that to everything. You should always call that other parent. Can I take your daughter out to the movies? Can I take your son out to do this? Can I take them swimming? Because that child is basically in panties and bras or something revealing. Can they go swimming?
I just look at it as polite and
okay, ain't nobody doing that.
Right. So
I understand what you're saying.
Thinking in the scenario.
That's not how I'm thinking in the scenario, because I'm all for unity and I'm all for communication. But at the end of the day, if that other parent is not down and talking about they can't never watch my child alone, or they can't, you're letting them run your household.
No, not on the scenario of running the house.
It will.
But what about just being polite and asking somebody?
I just said, if you ask them and they say no, then what?
Then the answer is no. It's no. I
Okay.
can't. They don't feel comfortable for somebody
Okay.
they
Well,
don't know.
again, you're
changing their diaper.
again, you're letting them run the household because once you start that asking, you're gonna have to continue to ask and
So
get
you
their
don't.
permission.
So you're saying don't ask. You're saying just don't.
No, first of all, y'all all should have a good relationship. But let's be honest, most people do not have a good, open, honest communication with their ex and their new spouse.
So what are you saying? So you're saying not to ask the opposite, not to ask the other
I'm
parent
definitely saying
about their
that.
child. If
Because
this
is the
person
thing.
they don't know can,
You're going to, it doesn't matter if they know them or not. You did not marry me for me to get in a relationship with your ex if they are bitter, unforgiveness, or whatever they got going on. How is that fair to your household? You're moving by what they say.
No,
and again, how are
but-
you picking and choosing what you're asking out of respect? Because you might take them to the movies and they say, I wanted to take my child to go see that. Not everything that you do gonna be an issue.
not everything, but in the
Oh, can I color?
touching
Can
of
I
changing
polish the child's nails? No, because that's something me and the child do. Can I? Yeah, but you're
But-
picking and choosing. That's what you're
Oh my
doing.
God, it's not all the way picking and choosing.
Yes, it
but
is.
in certain scenarios, maybe you have to communicate with the other parent to be like, hey, are you okay with this person that you don't know changing your daughter or your son diaper or changing the clothes? Right, that gets difficult. But
It doesn't get difficult because you make a
And-
decision to do it or not. It's not difficult to me. I'm not going to call and say, "Hey, I'm in a new relationship," and we're talking about in marriage. I'm not talking about just some random new person in this person's life. That's not what I'm saying. In a marriage, but once you start off like that, so say if you started off and you knew the child was 2 years old, right? And y'all just started dating, okay? And you do that. You go and ask that person and they say, no, I don't feel comfortable. Okay, cool. We're not going to do it. Then you marry the person and maybe it's 2 years later, the child is 4 years old now. Maybe they still having some trouble with going to the bathroom. Are you going to continue to do that? Is it going to always be because the other parent feel uncomfortable with something, so now you have to limit your child and the step parent's relationship?
First of all, I get the part where you talking about marriage. Okay.
I'm talking about marriage. I'm
No,
not.
no,
All
right.
of the
I
other
get
stuff is
that point. But people meeting somebody.
I agree with you if it's not marriage.
Okay, so you're talking about before marriage, all the other stuff. Yes, they should reach out. Me reaching out to the other father and say, hey, is it,
Well,
or you, I'm sorry, not me, you reaching out to the other parent saying like, hey, this
so
other.
we had this discussion before. Remember this? I feel like
Just with the changing of the clothes and
I'm talking about having a meeting with just the parents before that the child is even involved. That's what I said before.
Or
I think
the
that
setting
they all
down
should
rules, the setting down rules what this other person
yes, I think
should
that
be
that's
able to do.
appropriate. Yes, from the beginning,
And
I think
if
that's
they
okay.
can't, if they're uncomfortable with, then like, hey, okay, then you have to take your child. If I leave to go do something, I can't leave them with them. Then you're gonna have to take your child. If you feel uncomfortable with them changing, cleaning, or anything, then I'm gonna have to bring the child to your house.
I could agree with you.
Okay,
I could agree with that because just basing it off of oh no, and then it's left on y'all to try to figure out who, and you may not have somebody,
right.
or you gotta pay some other random person. That just simply does not make sense.
Right.
Why would you say no, get a babysitter, and you don't know the babysitter either? That's really a rando.
Right.
Oh, take them to a child care center. That's still a rando. And it doesn't.
I think they might feel comfortable if it's not a guy changing a girl.
Okay, well, I don't know.
That's-
It's men that work in the healthcare field, in the child care field. It's not just women that work at daycare.
Yeah, it is
so
some, but it's mostly women.
It doesn't matter, but it's still a man.
Right.
Or what if it's the grandfather?
The grandfather would change the diapers?
Yes. What if it's the grandfather?
But they're related, right? They like.
It doesn't matter if they're related or not. It's still a man, because that's what the whole thing is,
No,
right?
I think the
Getting
whole
in
thing
there.
I'm talking about if it's a man that you met, like you're
Okay, so
dating.
you saying a brother can do it? An uncle, a cousin?
I mean that does bring up other things, but I mean it brings up good topics, but I think people are hypersensitive now because of the day.
It could be a woman that's attracted to little girls. So none of that makes sense. it's women out here.
So where do you draw the line then? Where do you draw the line for who can change and who can do that to your child? Where is the line between family?
Well, I wouldn't want family members of my ex-husband, a male changing I wouldn't want them to do it either. So at the end of the day,
so you wouldn't want your baby daddy's family.
My ex-husband brother, if he had a brother, I wouldn't just be like, oh yeah, let him change her diaper, or his friend or somebody. I don't know those people like that either. That's a
godparent. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. A godparent, a godfather. Like, it's all the same. And then to me, it's just like, you would rather a random, whether it's a male or a female, a random person doing it besides the person that your spouse chose and trust, or your ex-spouse chose and trust. I mean, some of y'all do make bad decisions, because I've been there making bad decisions. So I'm just saying, like, I don't know.
This is a lot of good points. Before we end it, and so y'all understand, it's a lot of good points to think about before getting and moving in a relationship, and you have children.
Yes, but it
might be a better option to make it work with your father or the mother of the child or the father of the child. Try to make that work. If y'all can't resolve that issue or move forward,
just know that these are issues that can arise.
Right, y'all might have to stay by yourself, because
in no way am I telling anybody that they need to go and ask how comfortable somebody is, and because that
in a marriage. You're talking about in a marriage.
I'm talking about in a marriage, but it's steps before you get to the marriage.
Right, outside
you would be having this conversation before you even introduce a child or anything. If y'all are in a place, which most people are not even in a good space with their ex, to sit the ex down and the new spouse down to have a conversation, a mature, communicative conversation. Most people are not even in that place. So let's be honest about that. And then some people want to control people's households. You know, even if the child is comfortable with certain things, it's just like the whole mama and daddy thing. Some people don't want nobody else calling them mama. Some people don't want somebody else calling them daddy. And you're limiting that relationship. If that's a natural thing for the child, you should let the child choose that as they grow. It shouldn't just be, you can never do this. That's wrong. You're taking the choice away from the child based off of how somebody else feel. That's wrong. And now it makes the child feel like, I can't call this person mama or daddy because I'm hurting my mama or daddy. Or my real mama and daddy. That's just so, I don't know. But that's just my take on it. I mean, I respect where people are on their journey, because we all are learning and we are all growing. So.
But it's a lot.
I just like disagreeing with you.
I see. You right.
I mean, because we raise good questions and have.
You talk. Please let me get something to say. Please, can I say anything, Master? Please, man, let me say something, please. It's like, let him talk.
And then when you do talk, I'm like, wrong.
Right. Oh, that's not how I go.
You said
I can barely say.
But I do agree with you on certain points with that from the beginning, before you even introduce a child. Maybe if the parents can't get it together, and if it's not, you should be introducing me and letting me make a decision if I want to deal with the boundaries that your ex-spouse have set. That should be my decision to stick with this or not. Because if she's saying, you can't do this, you can't do that, I want to take them to all the doctor's appointments. If she ever gets sick, you got to wait for me to get off the work to take her, because I'm not going to give the healthcare card. You know, I'm just saying, I'm not, who doing that? I'm the only one that want to take them to school. So every morning you got to drop them off at my house so that I could take them to school. It could be stuff like that.
So, right.
On their birthday, I want to be at every birthday, even if it's your week. I need to be there. You know, that's just too much for somebody.
So, let's say it again, it's a lot to go in. If you're going to take that step to go to a blended family, take your children to somebody else that you're talking to or you're dating. Mm-hmm. In the beginning, maybe it might be a good idea to have a sit down with the father or the mother of the child. Yes,
it's a perfect idea.
Before getting into a relationship or getting to, get deep in a relationship or into a marriage.
And don't try
After a marriage, it's up to y'all too.
Don't try to, but that doesn't make sense. because you shouldn't set those boundaries and then once you get into a marriage and say, I don't care about the boundaries no more because we married. That was purposeless.
Well, then
I'm just saying that was purposeless to do
not
that.
Not to say that, but then still have those open boundaries. Still have
right. But the spouse might change. Like, why should I still have to have this boundary? Why can't I take my stepdaughter or my stepson to the movie to see a new movie because the mom or the daddy always want to take them to go see the new movies? That could be a boundary. So you could never get the child's nail polished, toes polished. You could never do any type of activities with the child because the parent feels some type of way. Like, that is muddy. That is muddy and messy. I encourage people go out, have that sit down, ask what the boundaries is, ask what the comfort level is. And if you the person with no children, or you the person with your other children and they got a lot of boundaries that you don't agree with, get out of there. Don't keep going with that. Because at the end of the day, they're telling you what they'll be happy with and what they'll be unhappy with. If they're unhappy with something, that's going to make your life unhappy. That's going to cause division in your household through the child.
I just said that too. So what do you do?
I said it first.
What do you do after the marriage then, Buttercup? You set down.
Well, that's why boundaries. I just said that. Exactly. You should. Okay. I just answered it. If you know that you are not going to stick to those boundaries that person is setting forth, you should not proceed to a marriage. You shouldn't just overlook and say, I feel like I'm strong enough to do this. Oh, I love him or her so much.
I meant like the open communication, because I just said before the relationship, have a sit down and talk to him. And then after the marriage, I said that. I shouldn't have. Don't have, just it's between y'all two with the child.
But that didn't make sense from the beginning to then go set boundaries and then just say, we married our trash. All the boundaries are in the trash. We gonna want to do whatever we want to do. So do you say
after the marriage, do they still have a sit down? Have a conversation with the other
You
parent?
Can try that, definitely. You can definitely try to reevaluate some things. Hey, we are married now. We've been together for this amount of time. Hopefully, everybody have built trust and communication between each other. That's perfect. That's lovely. But reality says most people are not going that route. Reality says most people are bitter and they want to control and they don't want nobody else to be, have a connection with their child for some reason.
Okay, so you're saying still have that.
You could try to have a sit down, but what I'm telling people is from the beginning, when you had that first sit down and you hear what that other parent says, get out of there. Get out of there if you know that that's not something that you want or that you could abide by without having an attitude problem, without causing, division in your marriage. And now you upset with your husband or your wife because y'all trying to base what y'all relationship and household setup is going to be based off of some type of outside source.